be with you this morning. And good morning to our online viewers. Welcome. holy, holy. We are holy. Spirit divine, come to me. Feeling love, healing me. Open my heart, allow me to see beauty and love, healing me. We are holy, 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 holy. We are part of an organization, Centers for Spiritual Living. And this song is by Karen Drucker. She has sung and performed this for countless conventions and conferences. Part of our liturgy of Centers for Spiritual Living. Holy, holy, holy. Some of us know it more than others, but it deserves to be learned and worshiped in our privacy of our own minds and the privacy of our prayers with practitioners, just as a community together. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy. Just in your chairs at home and here in the room, you can just silently or quietly sing that with me. Amen. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are whole. We are whole. And you can touch the hand of someone next to you if it feels comfortable. Growing that concept of holiness as community. It's not special just for us. We get to share that. Opening our hearts to the sacred walk we each have in life. Amen. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy. Take a breath. We are holy, holy, holy. We are whole. We are holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy. We are holy. Amen. Feels good to be together, doesn't it? At this time, I'd invite you to stand here in the room if it feels comfortable. Stand in spirit. If you don't feel like standing up, just stand in your spirit and join with me. We'd like to sing a song that is so special to us as our community welcomes you and welcomes us to sing together. There is a space in my heart where I can find the truth. I find me in you, a space beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yes. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. hands together. Welcome to love. Welcome to peace. Welcome to our community. Be who you are. Let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. See with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go. Trust the flow. There's a freedom and love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we can ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself, or where you come from, Italy or, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out. Slowly feel all that's around you. All that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love. Welcome to peace. Welcome to our community. Be who you are. Let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. Yes, you are welcome here. Would you look around the room and just say, you're welcome here, man. Welcome. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. And so it is. Please be seated. Welcome, Janet Riley. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone, to what I call my beautiful, perfect SLCA home.
Woo, I love that.
My name is Janet Riley, and I proudly serve as a licensed practitioner here at the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We are a center that educates and engages the seeker on their spiritual path. As a member of the global movement, Centers for Spiritual Living, our mission is to provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. Our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And our vision is a world that works for everyone. Thank you. We are grateful for your presence this morning, whether you're here with me in this room, or if you're watching from home in your comfortable space, or if you watch it later in the week. We are glad you are here. Please join me as we say our call to service. How I choose to think creates my personal experience. Therefore, I choose to speak affirmatively. I choose to speak affirmatively. I choose to live affirmatively. Not only is this my right, it is my responsibility as a conscious being. I allow myself to be guided, used, and available for the reawakening of everyone's magnificence. The moment is now, and I say yes. And so it is.
Good morning and Happy New Year. For all of you who don't know me, my name is Rachel Cooper, and I'm a member of the Creative Arts team. And I would just like to take a moment to welcome everyone. And please know that whether this is your first time here, you're watching from home, or you're a member at SLCA, you belong. And I am excited this morning to tell you about some of the opportunities to connect, grow, serve, and give at our center. And for more information about today's announcements, please take a moment to scan the QR code that can be found on the back of the seat in front of you. On the back of the seat in front of you. We would like to thank you all who have faithfully given to SLCA. And to find out more ways to give, please visit our digital program or see the information on the screen. We will do our grateful giving later on in the service. So for some ways to connect, you have an opportunity to take a deeper dive into your spiritual life every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. by joining the adult study. This opportunity is offered both in person as well as online on Zoom. Also, please consider joining Dr. Reverend Ursula Lentini, who offers the Twin Hearts Meditation Service on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. This is offered on Zoom. And Reverend Susan Zoller offers Living the Science of Mind. It's held every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. And this is for you, whether you've been in the teaching for years or you're just beginning on your journey. This gathering is for you as we grow together by learning to apply the teachings to our daily lives. And also, SLCA has a writers group. Did you know that? So this is an opportunity to grow as a writer. It's offered it's offered January 27th. It's offered once a month, but this month it's January 27th. It's at 6:30 p.m. and it's offered via Zoom. Everyone is welcome. And to register for these opportunities and many more, please visit our website at SLCA or scan the QR code in the lobby after service. SLCA will be collecting diapers and baby wipes for Toco Hills Community Alliance the entire month of January. All sizes are appreciated, but sizes 4, 5, 6, and 7 are especially needed. And finally, practitioners are available this morning for prayer after service, both in person and online. If you wish to receive affirmative prayer, our online practitioner will provide their email so that you can arrange a time. And for in-person treatment, our practitioners can be found after service on both sides of the room. Thank you for joining us this morning.
This is a time in our service where I have the privilege and the honor this morning of offering spiritual mind treatment, also known as affirmative prayer. Get comfortable in your seats, wherever you may be, if you choose to close your eyes. And I'm going to speak these words in first person and invite you to take as little or as much that resonates with you. This is what I know right here, right now, that the only intelligence, source, spirit that exists everywhere all the time, this omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent intelligence that I call God, surrounds me, fills me. Indeed, that is exactly what I am. One unique individualization of presence and power. I am grateful to know this truth because I can use it. I can use it in my daily life. And whether I choose to do something small, such as smile at the grocery clerk as I'm checking out, or something larger like marching in protest against injustice, every action, every thought ripples out into this world in which we live And while I may think it's a small thing sometimes, I know there are millions of thoughts and actions that also create the expansion and the peace and the joy in this world in which we live. I am grateful for every single teacher, mentor, minister, practitioner who has crossed my path that has allowed me to grow and learn. That is my deepest source of gratitude in this life now. I am grateful for this beautiful place we call Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta, which I call my spiritual home. This fabulous community, and for every shining face that comes through its doors. And it is with this spirit of gratitude this morning that I release these words into universal law as I understand its sacred significance in my life. I know it is already done, and if you will say with me as we release it, and so it is.
With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. As I open and allow, I know right here and now, I create a world where wonders never cease. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. Through me. Keeping the breath alive and going through me. Through me. Through me. So this last week I was in Dallas, Texas. The hats are bigger and the belt buckles are a lot bigger. I'm telling you, I took a picture of a Texan in an elevator and the elevator shrank. It was amazing. Boom, boom. Okay. So, but it was actually a jazz conference, right? It was jazz education, of which I'm a part of that lineage. And it was so great to be around other musicians and educators speaking the language of jazz, of which I've studied all my life. And I took this with me. This is our Science of Mind Centers for Spiritual Living, of which we're a part, the Centers for Spiritual Living. And I've been studying this teaching for 30, 40 years. And so when I enter a room of great jazz musicians, I don't shrink anymore. I know who I am. I belong. Our phrase here, you belong, you belong, you belong. Your soul belongs. It's such a relief, isn't it? So I invite you to practice that when you go home or when you go to the grocery store and think, I belong, and my consciousness is with me. I'm tuned in. I can check in with myself. I can ground in that understanding, that love, the peace that comes with knowing I'm vital. So I was looking at, we are from the Centers for Spiritual Living. That's our parent organization. And Reverend Emil in the Center for Spiritual Living in Sarasota, he references, I opened it, and of course he references Billie Holiday right away, because that's just the way life works, right? Synchronicity. And he references God Bless the Child, which she wrote, and he says the line, "Thems that got shall get, thems that not shall lose." So the Bible says, and it still is news, and he speaks to the idea of talent, and talent wasn't simply, it doesn't mean talent in the way we know it today. It came from, the words are from Jesus' parable of the talents. This is what he references. A talent at the time of Jesus was a small bar of precious metal used for payment or trade. And so he says, what landed in his awareness recently as he was listening to the lyrics, it refers to those times when we don't trust in the infinite flow and blessings of the universe or fear the loss of the gifts we've already received. And that came up for me during the Christmas holiday. It's be grateful. I mean, we hear it in theory, but this is a practice. This is a practice. At some point, there has to be a practice of delivering the wisdom of these teachings. At some point, we have to say, I belong. My soul is welcome here. I'm welcome here. And so I was thinking about dreams and how as you get older, our dreams, they fade, but they're still there. And I just welcome us to consider, would I take my dream and carry it forward outside the confines of my own thinking and share it with someone? Would I be willing to share that? Would I be courageous and willing to share my dream with a prayer partner, with a practitioner? Would I just have enough courage just to share it? Because I think our dreams, they're little gifts. We've been gifted with these dreams. And so take your gifts after service or online and share them with a prayer partner. Our prayer practitioners are available. They know this healing. They know the opportunity for you and for me through their prayers. And I just want us to remember that we don't have to have the answers, but I would like us to move forward with our dreams in this way that we can share with one another what's on our heart. We went through the burning bowl and the white stone, and we, in the privacy of our minds, we put that to a material, we made it material. But to actualize it, tap into what we have here. We have a community of powerful minds that we can carry forward our healing. And so I just want to offer that today. Preach. Didn't know I had a little sermon this morning, but there it is. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Haven't you heard that line before? I'm getting the message loud and clear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as Dale says, mm-hmm. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Growing my dreams. My soul is So I want you to say this with me. My soul is welcome here. Here we go. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. That's right. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Feel that now. My soul is welcome here. Amen. My soul is last time around, you got it, you got it. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, John.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Penelope. Welcome back. Felt like she was kicking off testimony service there for a minute, didn't she? Some of y'all know something about that, right? Testimony service. That'd be fun to do here someday, wouldn't it? Yeah. I might hold you to it, so be careful when you stand in agreement with me. Well, good morning. It's a great day to be together. I'm so glad that you're here. You're here to be revived and enlivened in spirit and community. Some of you are here because you want to hear a special prayer for the Bulldogs. We'll see if we can sneak that in. It's our time, right? Isn't it? No, that's what I'm hearing. Everybody's saying it's our turn. It's our turn. It's our turn. All right. Wonder, wonder everywhere. Wonder is the theme. If you look at the Science Mind magazine that Penelope was holding up, it's going to be the theme kind of woven in throughout the year this year, and particular focus on it here in the month of January. Living into wonder, living in wonder, wondering what it's all about, investigating with a sense of curiosity our consciousness. Because our spiritual living, being a center for spiritual living, being a center for spiritual living as an individual, right? Being a center for spiritual living doesn't just happen on our meditation cushion, doesn't happen just on Sunday morning in this room, right? Our spiritual living, we understand as a way of life, something that happens in every moment of every day. It's applying those spiritual tools to every area of our life on a regular and consistent basis. And as we do so, the premise is that life becomes easier, that there's more flow, that there's more integration, there's more understanding, there's more acceptance, there's more grace. There's more flow of the things that we desire, prosperity, health, and wholeness, because we're in tune, not because we're special, right? Not because we're saved by grace or any of those other sort of theological ideas, but simply because we are awake and we're aware and we're paying attention. And that's the key, right? So whatever your intentions, if you came to our intention setting workshop, which was very powerful, if you did your own form of resolutions or simply just goal setting, desires that you have for how this year, this week, this month, this next chapter of your life might unfold, understand that comes not as a result of being special in any way. It's not going to the right church. It's not saying the right prayer. It's not doing the right things. It comes through awareness, an awakeness to the idea that God is all that there is, an awareness of that divine activity, and a mindful practice on a consistent basis of everything that's showing up in your life. That requires wonder, right? It requires wonder. It doesn't happen automatically because there's so many ways in which our minds get distracted and pulled off course and fascinated with other things. We're going to talk about some of that today. But it requires wonder because wonder is everywhere present, just waiting for us to wake up to it. It's in the cars that we drive, in the homes that we live in, and the neighbor's dog. It's in the traffic light and the people we meet. Even my neighbor across the street that has his Alabama flag out. Right? There's wonder there. I wonder, why doesn't he have a Georgia flag? I don't know. As I told somebody before the service, I said, I think it's time to call in the rule of the HOA that no flags other than the American flag are allowed to be flown in the neighborhood. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. Maybe just for a day. Right, but there's wonder all around us. We live in a wonderland. We live in the manifestation of a miracle. I have this experience usually when I leave here on Sundays, and we were joking about it a couple of weeks ago. You know, there used to be a phrase that, you know, my parents used to say, or grandparents, you know, that when you got in your car and you had the same route that you'd drive, say, oh, the car has a mind of its own. You ever heard somebody say that? Car has a mind of its own. Well, it turns out now that they do, right? Because I get in, I plug in my phone, and we have this place that we go, a little cafeteria place for lunch usually after Sunday service. And somebody took me there the first time, and so I know where it's at. And so I've never put the address in my phone, right? Never once. I've never typed it into Google or Apple Maps or whatever. But we go there pretty regularly. So a couple weeks ago, we got in the car on Sunday, and screen on my car just popped up and said, you're going to this location. It'll take you 10 minutes, right? Has a mind of its own, right? We live in an intelligent universe, right? And we're beginning to see that more and more. And so it's there for us to see if we're awake to it. It's there for us to encounter in our daily lives. The wonder of spirit, we can't escape it because we are inseparable from it. It is our true essence, this infinite intelligence. In the Science of Mind, in our Declaration of Principles, it says, there is one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect, and that life is my life now. There's one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect, or we might better translate that to meaning, we don't mean perfect as in without flaw. How many people are perfect? Right? You are, in the proper translation of it. 'Cause perfect really means whole, complete. Right? It's not without flaw in the sense of good, bad. You know, oh, this is more perfect than that one because it's pristine. No, it's whole. Perfect is wholeness. Everything's included, including the flaws. The flaws are perfect, right? Just the way that it is perfect. It's not meeting a beauty standard or an aesthetic standard or some other performance standard that is, you know, without reproach to it, that is above all the others. No, that's not what perfect means. Perfect means the acceptance of the allness, whole, included in whatever state that it's in. As I said last week, the acorn in the stage of the acorn is perfect. It's whole, it's complete. That doesn't mean that it's not growing, right? It's going to grow into an oak tree, and when it's an oak tree, it's perfect. It's whole and complete. And when it has leaves and it's budding out in the spring, it's perfect. And when the leaves are turning colors and they're falling off, it's perfect. Right? It's always, wholeness is a constant evolutionary state of our awareness. So there's one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now because it's the only life that there is. Our Declaration of Principles says that this one life, manifests itself in and through all creation. But watch this. It is not absorbed by its creation. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It's the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. Spirit, intelligence, the creative intelligence of the universe knows itself through its creation, which speaks of a relationship. It wanted to know you, so it made you. It wanted to know this life, so it made this life. That, I believe, invokes a sense of wonder, curiosity, right? Like, what is this really all about? What's really happening here? Mary O'Malley, the author of What's in the Way is the Way, she says, something very extraordinary is happening here. There are no ordinary moments in your life. There are no ordinary moments in your life. Alchemy is the process of recognizing the extraordinary inherent within the ordinary. It's revealing the present within. The butterfly exists within the caterpillar, the mighty oak within the acorn, the orchard within the apple seed. The awe and wonder are present in modest and ordinary things, as one form is transformed into a higher form, and on it goes. And so curiosity is our spiritual tool and practice I want to invite you into for the month. Curiosity is the tool of wonder. To get curious, like really curious about our life, why it is the way that it is, why it is not the way it is not, and why it's unfolding in the way that it is. To get curious, when we do that, I don't know about you, but I get curious a lot about a lot of things. Right? I watch the news. The news makes me very curious, right? You ever think, what in the... Right? Why are they doing that? And why aren't they doing that? Right? And why are they acting that way? And why is this happening? And what in the world? That's curiosity. Now, it's laced with a lot of judgment, but it's a beginning. Right? We eventually want to get to a bit cleaner place of our curiosity, a bit more neutral, but we'll work on that. But what I want to say is if your curiosity is laced with judgment, that's okay. Accept it. Because it's the beginning of the curiosity. The curiosity is more important than the judgment. Right? To get curious about our life and about our world, why things are happening the way that they are and why they're not unfolding the way that they're not unfolding. And what's really going on here. In the Bible it says, in all thy getting, get understanding. Right? Get understanding. But what's interesting about that phrase and that idea that's being presented there is that it says get knowledge and get this, but in all thy getting, get understanding. Notice that the emphasis is not on knowledge. It's on understanding. We have lots of information in our world, don't we? Right? We're surrounded by all kinds of information and knowledge and wisdom and science and results and data, and I mean, it's just everywhere. And what's curious about our life and this life that we're living is that very often we actually reject a great majority of that knowledge. I'll say more about that in a minute. I just want to plant that seed. Right? Knowledge is an objective form of information, or at least it's supposed to be, right? We have data, we can measure, we can do research, we can do all of those things, whereas understanding is a relational idea. Understanding is wisdom or knowledge that is connected to our sense of self. I have understanding because I understand how that knowledge informs me. Right? It tells me a little bit more about who I am or who I think I am or where I'm going or how I'm going to get there. Right? Understanding is the application of knowledge in relationship to my sense of self. And that sense of self, it turns out to be very, very important in this infinite, intelligent universe. Because it turns out that we as a species are actually not very interested in knowledge, at least as it ranks compared to other things. Now, you might begin to argue with me there a little bit, and you might say, but we've discovered the solar system and the Milky Way and the infiniteness of the galaxy, and we send satellites up to space, and it beams down to our phones, and we can do all of these different things. We put people on the moon and cured cancer and split the atom and all of these. Right? We're just filled with knowledge. What do you mean we don't like knowledge? Say yes, and we've also failed to deliver peace through all of our advanced forms of democracies and governments and organizing ourselves, right? We've also failed to create equity in education and housing and food distribution and wealth and clean water, right? Well, imagine that. We can send satellites around the moon, around the earth that beam information from all over the place into the little device in our phone, but we can't make sure that everybody has clean drinking water. Something's going on there, right? So get curious. Like, what's happening there? We create convoluted systems that stifle our progress and ingenuity and systematically institutionalize inequity and discrimination against our own species. And we do this over and over and over and over again throughout history. Why? Well, it's clear what the answer is. Those people are idiots. Right? And, I mean, it's really clear. Those people, whoever those people are, right, aren't doing it right. And they're ignoring the science, and they're doing this, and they're messing it up. And if they would just listen. Now, scan your mind and feel all of the places within you that at some point in time have said something like this. If only they would, right? Everything would be solved if they would just do the thing, whatever the thing is, right? If they would just listen to reason, if they would just follow the science, if they would just do the right thing, if they would just get the shot, if they would just listen to others, if they would just watch this video that I'm going to send them right now. If they would stop watching that channel, if they would think for themselves, if they would stop being hypnotized by the mass media. Maybe you've heard some of those on one side or the other and realize in this moment how they could be flipped to the other side as well, and that we're actually, every time saying something like that, we're actually just talking in the mirror. All right? So it turns out there's this thing called the Enigma of Reason. It's a title of a book by a cognitive scientist named Hugo Mercier, and a few other folks that co-authored and done all of this science. It's a fascinating read about our cognitive capacity of reasoning, how we use it and why we use it, and the way we apply it. And it turns out that our cognitive capacity and the primary strength around our reasoning is to justify beliefs that we already have. That the application of our logical processes of reasoning is to justify belief systems that we already identify with. In other words, we're not very good at using reason to change our mind or to change anybody else's mind. And it turns out that trying to use reason to get, I don't know if maybe you've noticed this, perhaps you don't need to read a book by cognitive scientists to understand that using reason to get somebody else to change their mind usually doesn't work very well. Right? Why? Because they're committed to their convictions, to their ideas. It doesn't, and what they've just studied is that this kind of cognitive process is actually very important in our evolution. It's a survival technique that we have developed over centuries, but it doesn't make us particularly good at truth-seeking. And it also makes us prey to a number of cognitive biases, like confirmation bias that you've probably heard of, which means that we seek out answers that match what we already think we know. There's a number of studies in this book, The Enigma of Reason, that talk about this. And one of them is that it says that people are really good, people who have been identified as having strong math skills, actually, now here's something, now you would think, well, this is objective across the board. If you've got strong math skills, then you've got strong math skills. Well, it turns out they've been able to do studies and shown that people with strong math skills will have the ability to apply those math skills in a biased way. In other words, they have strong math skills if they believe that the conclusion of the equation will support their belief. They've studied and they've seen people with liberal tendencies will be really good at solving a math problem, for instance, if it shows that if the answer they believe will show that gun control reduces crime. And they've got the other way too, right? That shows that people are really good at solving the equation. Conservatives are really good at solving the equations if they believe that the answer is going to show that gun control does not reduce crime. Very important one in Georgia right now, by the way, to understand. Right? What does that mean? It means that we only move towards data, or we kind of turn on our cognitive ability to do these things only if it points to the position that we already agree with. What is that? there's a couple things happening there. One, and this kind of is separate. Well, let me talk about both of them, and then I'll go into one and the other. Two things happening. One, we're addicted to drama. I don't know if you've noticed that before. But our mind cognitively is addicted to drama. I like to say it like this, that our mind will always go towards whatever is more interesting. Right? Your mind just automatically gravitates towards what's more interesting. Right? Traffic slows down, and everybody's got to, go 25 and a 70 mile an hour because there's something happening on the road, and it's actually happening on the other side, and it's actually not even happening over the median or the wall. It's actually happening on the shoulder on the other side across 7 other lanes of traffic, right? So it doesn't impede your ability to go the speed limit whatsoever. This is not a hot button for me, by the way, if you can tell. But your mind is more curious about what's happening over there rather than what's happening in front of you. And so you're going to slow your roll to check it out, even though it's those people going that way and has nothing to do with you. Am I right? Your mind is more interested in drama. It will always move towards what's more interesting, not what's more productive, not what's more efficient, not what's better for you. We actually have a real disinterest in what's better for us, right? We know all these things about food and what we should eat and shouldn't eat and exercise and all these different things. We have very little interest in what's actually better for us. Like, oh God, don't bother me with what's better for me. Does it taste good? That's what I want to know, right? And they've done all these studies. People will actually deny, they will reject the opportunity to know information, even if it's been proved that having that information will improve the quality of your life. Right? But we'll reject it if we think that it will, and this is the second thing that's going on. So number one, our mind moves towards what's more interesting. Number two is this idea of identity consistency. And that is that we will reject information if we feel like it will somehow thwart or threaten our sense of identity. If having that information, even though it would be the right information, it might improve my life, it might bring me more wealth or more health or help improve society in some way, I will actually reject the opportunity to know that information if I have some sense that it means I got to change who I am, or that it will be a threat to the idea of who I am. Now, last week in our intention setting workshop, I said that you're designed for growth, right? That the cells of your body are designed to do one of two things. Every cell in your body is designed to do one of two things, and it's really only one thing, and then it's the absence of that one thing, and that one thing is to grow, to multiply, and to participate in the production of a homeostasis of health within your body system. That's what it's designed to do. The only time it's not going to do that is when it feels threatened. If it feels threatened, you get cold, something comes into the system, whatever it is, your mind sees something, your heart rate races, then your cells feel threatened, then they stop producing growth and they start producing protection. And there's a whole lot of science behind all of that and what all that means. But they will stop doing the protection things the moment they have a sense that internally, your whole system has a sense that the threat is gone. Now, what's interesting is that the threat objectively might be physically gone, right? Our body might be better. The threat isn't in our immediate environment. It might not be living in the cells of our body. But if mentally we believe that the threat is still there, then the cells will continue to do their protection thing. But the moment there is a cognitive sense that the threat is gone, wholly embodied within the system, then they return to their natural state of producing wholeness. Well, it turns out that I say that because it turns out that you are a cell within the body of the universe as well. That your whole being, you are one cell. I am one cell, you are one cell. We're all cells within the collective body because, again, there's only one life. That's God's life. That life is perfect and whole, and it's your life now. There's only one thing here, one collective energy, body of God, the body of the universe, and you're part of it. So you're a cell in the body. And if your identity feels threatened, then you will move into protection mode, right? That's self-preservation. And so out of that, we have this desire to what they call identity consistency. In identity consistency, again, in this book, they have a number of studies, and they said, we will pay you $7 to read this research. And by the way, we're going to let you know in advance that this research conforms to the beliefs that you already had, because we studied. We know your beliefs about same-sex marriage or gun control or any other hot-button issue, right? And they did a bunch of them. They said, we'll pay you $7 to read that research and then tell us what it says. And by the way, we already know that it conforms and it supports your internal beliefs that you've given us, right? $7, okay. Now, then they said, over here, we've got this study, and we'll pay you $10, and they even went up to like $12 and $15. We'll pay you more. We'll pay you double to read this study. But by the way, this study does not conform with your beliefs. It actually holds the opposite position. Guess what people chose? The $7 every single time. This is consistently, right? Very rarely would we choose the data that would cause a cognitive dissonance, right? Because we'd rather conform to our beliefs and have more knowledge that would give us ammunition that says, this conforms to my beliefs. Now I believe even what I believe even more so because I've read a study that says that it's so, rather than reading something that would change our mind or cause a threat to what we hold as true. Now, some people did read the other studies, but as I said, statistically it was far less, right? And it turns out this is something that can apply across Democrats, Republicans, etc. Now, what does all of this mean? It means that our identity is more important than knowledge. And that's a fascinating thing to think about, that our sense of identity, our sense of self, ranks higher than any kind of knowledge that we could receive from the universe. The universe is intelligent, but we're only going to take in the intelligence that we think conforms to the identity that we have, which means that the work that we're doing here together of questioning and curiosity and wonder about who you really are as a spiritual being, right? As a being that, yes, has identity, yes, has a body, yes, has a gender orientation, yes, has a sexual orientation, yes, has a race or ethnicity ascribed to it, yes, has all of these things, but who you are at the cellular level and at the cellular level is beyond all of that. Get curious about that. Get curious about what's happening, what's unfolding. It doesn't mean that you leave those other identities behind, right? We have all of those. See, what would happen, this is the curiosity that I have for you. What would happen if all of your, what I'll call just for now, your lower forms of identity, gender, race, sexuality, orientation, all of those things, right? What if all of those forms of identity were secure? There was no sense of threat. There was no reason to defend. There was no reason to protect. They are what they are, and they're actually beautiful gifts. They're unique filters through which you bring unique experience to the world, where you experience the world in a unique way, and everything about it is whole, perfect, and complete. It doesn't need any defense, protection, or anything else, right? And I just invite you to hold the curiosity, like what would that feel like? Now, here's the truth, right? Right now, in this moment, in this day and age, in this moment in time in history, that's a lot easier for some of us in the room, just historically speaking, right? That's a cognitive question that's easier for some of us to do because most of our identities are not threatened by the world or by anybody else here or the world that we operate in every day. But what if it were true for all of us? What would then emerge to the surface? Where would your mind go if you weren't occupied with those other things? Who are you really? That's the opportunity and the safety that we give each other to do this, to engage in the world of wonder. and we come out from the cognitive abyss of this and that and us and them and threatening and defending and all of those other things. There's a wonderful story. It's my favorite story. I've told this story. It's a joke. It's my favorite. I've done it for years and years and years. And it goes like this. I've probably done it here. I've only been here a short time, but I've probably done it already 2 or 3 times. But it's my favorite, so we're going to do it again. And it is the story of what you would call a fire and brimstone church. And the pastor gets up, and he's got a big Bible and kind of dusty, and he puts it on the pulpit, makes this kind of thud, and he opens it up, and he looks out, leans out over the pulpit, and he looks out in the congregation, and he says, 20, 30, 40 years from now, every member of this congregation is going to be dead. Got to be worried about your soul and about your salvation. And everybody in the congregation shakes and grabs their Bible. Except one young man sitting in the back. He's calm. He's just sitting there, got a smile on his face. The pastor sees this and he says, well, maybe you didn't hear me. Or maybe I didn't go far enough. I'll add another 10 years onto the thing. So he leans out again and he says, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years from now, every member of this congregation is going to be dead. And you've got to be curious. You've got to be asking yourself about your eternal soul and salvation. They all clutch their Bibles and shake in fear. Except this one young man who's just sitting quietly, smiling. So the pastor says, well, I guess I'll call him out. He says, you, young man, don't you know that 60, 70, 80 years from now, every member of this congregation is going to be dead, and you got to be worried about your soul and your salvation? What do you have to say for yourself? The young man stands up and he says, Pastor, I'm not a member of this congregation. Right? When we come out from the identification of when we get curious about who is trying to define you, and why are they trying to define you that way? And what about your sense of self is wrapped up in the defense of who you are rather than the embrace of who you are? You see, as we begin to get curious, what happens when I let go of all of the defenses and everything that makes me unique is simply a gift, and all I have left is to expand into my liberation, expand into my freedom, expand into my prosperity, my wholeness, to really be all that Spirit would intend me to be if I was no longer a cell operating in a defense position. Could I grow into the fullness of who I am? Valerie Carr in See No Stranger says, when we orient ourselves to wonder, then it becomes possible to wonder not only about ourselves and our world, but also about other people and theirs as well. We begin to sense that they are vast, they are as vast and as complex as we are. When we choose wonder about people that we don't know, we begin to expand our circle to those that we see as part of us that we don't yet already know. It draws us closer in increasing empathy and compassion. Wonder is where love begins. She goes on to say, love is more than a feeling. It's a form of sweat labor, fierce, bloody, imperfect, life-giving, a choice that we make over and over again. If love is sweat labor, then we can be taught to model and practice. This labor engages all of our emotions. Joy is in the gift of love. Grief is in the price of love. Anger protects that which is loved. And when we think that we have reached our limit, wonder is the act that returns us to love. And so as we choose wonder this year, as we choose wonder this month, as we choose to be curious about what's really happening, I can notice all the places of myself that get defensive, that get judgmental about what other people are doing or what they're not doing or what I prefer that they would do. And then I can just observe all of that and then just get curious. What's really trying to happen here? What's really trying to happen through me? What's the gift that's being presented? What's the gift that humanity is being presented with? And continue to cycle into that wonder and that curiosity over and over and over again. And finally, I want to leave you with this. There's a lot I could do about this topic of identity and wisdom that we get from this different sacred scriptures, in particular in the Bible, that people are asked to identify in certain ways and the reason for that. And there's always a lesson about transcendence and about connection to our relationship to the allness of spirit around us in each of those lessons. I'm not going to do all of them, don't worry. But this is one that came up for me as I was thinking about this message today. The line in the Sermon on the Mount that says, "The meek shall inherit the earth." It's an interesting passage, right? It's actually in Ernest Holmes in his book, Ideas for Living. He says this, to be meek is to be humble before the truth. To be meek is to be humble before the truth. A person who is truly meek is humble when they look upon the grandeur of the mountain or the vastness of the ocean, or they think about the bigness of things. They do not become lost in this bigness or this grandeur, but they stand in awe before it. When we do this, something deep within us responds. Something within us embraces the ocean. Something within us melts into the mountain. And something within us becomes one with it. This is true meekness. Meekness is curiosity about who we are against the vast array of that which surrounds us. Right? So we inherit the earth because we're in constant relationship with all that is unfolding. We inherit the wisdom, we inherit the power, we inherit everything because we're in constant, be in relationship with the vastness that is surrounding you. What does this tell me about me, about my life, about my desires, about my family, about my dreams, about my hopes, about my goals, about where I'm going this year or this week? And what does this vastness, this mystery, this continued unfoldment of the universal presence say about that? And most importantly, stay curious. Peace and blessings. Let me do this real quick. One last thing, forgot to mention, was not an announcement today, but the postcards arrived. My friend, Reverend Dr. Sandra Jackson, who's a minister down in Douglasville, other Center for Spiritual Living that we have out there, and her friend, Reverend Patty Rumsa, who used to be a camp counselor for me in this movement a long, long time ago, and she's in Colorado. They've teamed up creating a new ministry that's doing spiritual sacred travel. And one of the trips, there's two here. There's a cruise, which they didn't invite me on, so I'm not going to talk about that. But the you can find out about that if you're interested in that. But the other one is a trip to Alabama to the Civil Rights Museum, legacy tour, and doing the walk and doing a couple of the museums over a couple of days, April 28th through May 1st. And I'm going to be one of the group facilitators for that trip. We will have time that would bus ride from here to there and back, and then hotel overnight, meals, etc. And then we're going to spend time in racial identity groups, conversing our experience and then sharing with each other. So I'll be one of the facilitators for the lighter-skinned folks, and Sandra Jackson and some of her congregants will be helping facilitate the other group. It's going to be a very powerful trip. So if you're interested in that, check this out, pick up one of these, and we'll continue to announce that as we move through the spring. Thank you. Just wanted to add that.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Dr. David. I'm willing to bet I'm not the only one that had a moment of, well, that explains a lot. So, thank you for that. This is a time we would like to acknowledge our first-time visitors. If this is your first time at SLCA, we invite you to stand so that we may welcome you. Any first time? Yay. Our ushers are handing you a gift just for you. Please join a welcome ambassador for fellowship in the lobby following the service. Thank you for choosing the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta as part of your celebration today. We welcome each of you in need of prayer to remain in the room for one-on-one prayer with a licensed practitioner. Practitioners will be available on both sides of the room. And we now have the opportunity to enter the flow of prosperity and abundance in which we are always, always moving. And as we enter our time of grateful giving, we want to thank each of you that faithfully give to SLCA. It is because of your contributions that we can continue to spread our message of oneness. If you were inspired by this message today, please consider becoming a recurring pledger or give what is in your heart today. You can conveniently give on our website or text your gift to 404-800-9467. You may also give with a credit card using our digital program with a QR code on the back of the seat in front of you. And our ushers will be coming through the aisle shortly to receive your cash or check contributions. And this is the time we get to say our grateful giving affirmation. If you will join with me. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life turns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is.
Will you stand with me as we sing together our closing song? And have a great weekend, everyone. Keep music in your life. Keep love in your life. Hope you'll come back and join us. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. See it with me. A world that works for everyone. Amen. Have a great weekend. Love you.